Hello and welcome to Paradox, Untold Stories from Athletic Directors with Dr. Danielle Lapointe and Dr. Dustin Smith. We have some crazy and unique stories for you, which are made possible by our sponsor, Wall of Fame. At the Wall of Fame, our mission is to bring your school's legacy to life. We transform school tributes to make it easier than ever to celebrate your whole community, showcasing your school's diverse history, proudest moments, and top role models. We understand that the true value of our Wall of Fame is in your content. Whether you are starting a new tribute or adding to an existing one, we give you all the resources you need to build an interactive experience and take your content to the next level. Speaking of next level, let's check in to see what Danielle and Dustin have for us today.
Hello, everyone. Today we have Cory Aadland with us. How are you doing today, Cory?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Happy to have you here. You are coming at us from South Dakota today, right?
That's right. Yep. Beautiful South Dakota here in April. So a lot better now than it was a week ago and probably will be in another week, but we'll take it for what it is today.
That sounds awesome. How about you, Dustin? How are you doing today?
Man, I'm living the dream in Greenwood, Arkansas, and I'm excited to have Cory on here. Cory and I got to sit through a presentation he did last year at our state coordinators meeting. No, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, no, it was last year.
It was last year. Yeah, it was last year because we were in. Anyway, I got to sit and listen to Cory, and Cory is. I don't know if we call this a positive thing, if we call him a disciple of Joey Struey, or he follows Joey Struey around. But he and Joey Struey know each other well. They both serve the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. They're both highly, highly, highly involved at both the state and national level. But I think it's fun because we were discussing Cory's last name, and you look at it with two A's, but it's really pronounced Aadland, and maybe that's fitting for South Dakota because some people think that may be an odd place to live and it's an odd environment. But man, Cory, I'm excited for you to jump on board with us today and talk, just get to know you a little bit, know about life in South Dakota. We'll talk about softball and what that looks like here in a minute. But what I want to do before we really get started is just allow you to tell us a little bit about who Cory is outside of being an AD. What does the resume not tell us about who you are?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is, just a dad at this point. I've got 3 kids, 9, 7, and we'll be 3 here in a few days. So, they're getting at that age where they're involved in all the things. So, taxi driver and trying to get schedules set, and obviously anybody that's in this profession knows that you got to have a significant other at home that supports and carries a lot of the weight, during these times when we're not available, and picking up kids and all those kinds of things. So those kids keep us busy, but we really enjoy that. It's my golf game isn't nearly as good as what it was before. Not that it was any ever good before that, but when you get kids, they kind of consume all your time. And but you find
Wait. I have a question.
Okay.
What is the golfing season in South Dakota?
Short and sweet. Our golf course opened up today, which is or yesterday actually. So this is probably pretty normal. Early April is probably pretty normal. The last few years have been pretty mild, so we've gotten out a little bit early, but and then it runs through end of October into November, something like that. So we get
bad.
A good 6 months, but
we did just talk about before we started recording that you still have some snow on the ground. So your golf course is open, but there is still snow on the ground.
Yeah. The course manager, literally said, like, it's 90, it's cart paths, 90-degree rule, all those things. But he's like, there's still snow on the course, so stay out of snow, stay out of the wet spots, those type of things. So yeah, we
sand traps, snowbank traps,
exactly.
just a little added element.
those the clubs have an S on them. That doesn't necessarily stand for sand wedge. It could be a snow wedge. That fits just fine. But I mean, we had Easter egg hunts over the weekend, and we had snow piles, and we're running around in shorts and t-shirts. So it's South Dakota is an interesting place, certainly in the spring when we're fighting snow and decent weather. But
so let's paint on a map. Since we've talked about South Dakota, where exactly are you, Cory, in the state of South Dakota, so people can kind of paint that on a map?
Yeah, we're kind of south central, I guess I would kind of say. So most people know where Sioux Falls is at. We're an hour directly west of there on I-90, about 3.5, 4 hours out to Rapid City, out to Black Hills area there. So pretty, in South Dakota terms, kind of centrally located to population. We're definitely population heavy on the east side, and we're kind of in the middle of that. So yeah, good quick hour trip to Sioux Falls. And it's I moved here in 2005, not in the AD world, doing computer information systems, computer programming stuff, and planned on being here for about a year to get some experience to go somewhere else. And here I am, 18 years later, and I'm still here. So really enjoy the community. It's a small big town, or a big small town, depending on how you want to look at it. And really just kind of put some roots down and really enjoy it here.
So let me ask this question. How far is your longest conference game? How far of a drive?
So again, we're in the middle of our conference. So, so we have, our closest game is 50 miles away.
Your closest, I'm sorry, your closest game is 50 miles away.
Yeah. Yep. And then our longest conference game is probably about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, 2:15, 2.5, something like that. Within our conference, we got about 3 of those. So we have schools in our conference that are 3.5 hours away for a conference game. So South Dakota's interesting in the fact that we're not 800,000 people, something like that, so we're not a highly populated state. And we're kind of spread out all over the place with these little pockets of people in different places and in some of these different, bigger towns, for us at least. So yeah, we're a little bit unique. It's interesting.
So you made a statement there that you said you're not a very populated state. I can't imagine why. Well, I mean, here it is, April. We're in April, and we're dealing with snow. And when is your golf season, like for your competition for high schools? When do you guys play?
Yeah, so we play our boys play in the fall. They'll get done early October is when our state meet is for our boys in our classification, and then our girls play in the spring. So they'll be done the first part of June. 6th, 7th, something like that, I think it was this year. So then they would have just started, their practices here 3 weeks ago. So again, they spent a lot of time inside at, finding people that have simulators, and, luckily we got enough people, that we know close enough to the program that we can get on some simulators and those type of things. So, but yeah, our track team goes out and shovels the track off because it's full of snow, so we can get out there. I mean, we do some weird things just trying to get out and be able to practice. So being inside for spring sports is not fun.
So you talked about the first day of the golf course was open yesterday, and first practices, whatever it may be. But you guys had a recent first, or you're going to have a first tonight, I guess is what it is, the first time ever for you. So go ahead and make that announcement. What's the first ever event you're about to experience tonight?
Yeah, we'll be hosting and playing for our first high school softball, state sanctioned softball game. Up until this year, it's been a club sport, that's operated on its own, and I believe we're the last state. I mean, we're not the smartest people up here, but at least we're slow to come around. So I believe we're the last, maybe the second to last state in the country to sanction softball. So yeah, so I have no idea what I'm doing. We'll see what that looks like. We're gonna
Wait,
run.
your state just sanctioned softball?
Yeah.
I thought you just wait. When we were talking earlier, I was kind of thought like your school was just starting softball, but no, your state just sanctioned it.
Yep. So this spring is the first year of state sanctioned softball. So there's been a push for it here and there, but they kind of had their own organization that was kind of running it, and they're okay with it for a while, and then because we don't sanction baseball either at this point. There's a high school baseball season, but it's not a state sanctioned baseball season. They kind of have their own organization that they're running there. In most parts, they're okay with that. They don't necessarily want to be underneath the auspices of the activity association. They kind of want to do their own thing, and it's worked for them. And softball was that same way here until just now this year we'll get it going. So
are you over? Like you're over baseball?
No.
So you don't. Okay, so you don't have it at the school. It's more like a club thing. Is that
exactly.
Okay?
So let me ask this question: is softball fast pitch or is it slow pitch?
Yeah, fast pitch. Yep.
Well, the reason I ask is Oklahoma plays slow pitch in the spring. They play fast pitch in the fall, but they play slow pitch in the spring. So I'm intrigued to see just how many people are still doing slow pitch, because I don't think it's very many. I think most of them are playing fast pitch, which is unique, but it's good. You'll find that it's a quick game. It can be. If you got a pitcher, you're pretty good. If you got a pitcher who knows what they're doing, obviously. So I'm intrigued to just kind of see how that goes and how that takes off for you guys there in South Dakota. So I'll be picking your brain in September just to kind of see how that happens.
Yeah, for sure. We hope it goes quick because it's going to get cold out at night. So we got to get done. We got to get in there and get out. But yeah, it was a big debate where we would put softball, whether it be in the fall, whether it be in the spring. And I'm always interested when, as I've gotten involved in more national things and talking to different people around the country, how different we all operate. We're all doing the same things, but yet, where we have a sport is completely different to where, other places have their sports. And it's interesting to see those different dynamics. And we have a lot in the fall. We sanction 20 sports, and 11 of those are in the fall. So adding another one into the fall for a school our size, that again, we're a big small school, a small big school, and we're in the biggest classification, but yet we're on the smaller end of that. We don't have the kids to be able to support softball in the fall. We offer too many other sports at that time that just would compete with it. And there are some other schools that were kind of in that same spot. So spring weather certainly isn't ideal for softball, but it was a numbers thing for us.
How many kids do you have at your school?
Yeah, we usually run about 800 in the high school. We're big right now. We're about 950 right now. We got a little kind of a group of kids kind of coming through the high school that are big, but usually right around 200 a class is kind of where we're at. So, and again, we're competing against schools that have, 3 times that, 2,000, 2,200 kids type of thing. So we certainly have our challenges when it comes to that.
It's interesting. You mentioned just how different things are. We start softball in February. So my coaches are out there in long, big, thick coats because it's cold. And then by the time we're done in May, they're all in shorts and T-shirts because it's warm. And so they experience the two extremes as far as weather is concerned. Then obviously you're balancing Mother Nature and when she wants to throw her fit and decide that she wants to drop some rain on you or storms or whatever and keep you from playing. But softball is unique for us, especially just because it starts when it's freezing cold and ends when it's warm.
Well, that's the same thing for us, but your February is our April. So
right.
it's the exact same, just 2 months later.
And hitting a softball bat or holding a baseball bat hitting the ball when it's cold is like the worst feeling.
Yeah,
it hurts your hands.
We've talked about kind of some minimum temperature requirements, and we haven't seen anything that there's any kind of set temperature, but yet there's some manufacturing warranties that don't cover under 46 degrees or something like that. Nothing you guys would probably be concerned with. But yeah, there's some things with that. So it's a learning process. I've told all of our coaches and our girls and our parents, like, be patient. I'm going to make some mistakes because I just don't know, what we're getting into. We're doing our best, and we'll get through it this first year, and we'll be better moving forward.
Are you prepared for the amount of celebration that happens in a softball game? Like when you introduce the starting lineup, they run around the circle, give high fives, and then after every strikeout or out, they go to the pitcher and give high fives. I mean, everybody comes in. It's not like
that's an Arkansas thing. That's not normal.
No, that's not. If you watch any collegiate game, you'll see that there's a lot of celebration in softball.
Okay.
Well, my oldest daughter is gotten into softball here these last couple of years in the summer, so I've seen parts of that, but I'm sure it's not quite at the level that I'm gonna see today. But can't be any worse than volleyball, right? They celebrate.
No, volleyball does it a lot.
My first year, I walked in the gym and they're practicing their celebrations. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, but whatever. But if they enjoy it, then so be it, I guess, right?
Yeah, I was asking. Tennis is the same way. I mean, they give high fives after every point. And it could be that they hit it straight into the net. They still give a high five. I can't figure that part out, but that's what they do. But it's an opportunity for kids to compete, and they enjoy it, and that's their part of their celebration. Do you have a PA announcer? I mean, are you doing that?
Well, no, I'm still working on it. The game's not for a few hours. I got time. Right?
Spoken like a true AD.
Yeah, I got it. It might be me. It is right now, but I've got some other people in place. But we'll see. We'll figure out. I don't know what I don't know yet. So
yeah, learn what a flex player is and what an extra hitter is, and
yeah, those are all new things. I understand like Major League Baseball rules. That's it.
Right. That's a little different.
Softball's not through that way, so it's gonna be a learning experience. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you can courtesy run for somebody, and then they can go back and re-enter. I mean, it's a different game.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can talk about that stuff all day, and it's interesting just to see the perspective that you have in South Dakota and how much that's different from even in Arkansas and the tropics that are down there in Florida, that they don't have to worry about some of this mess. But the reason we get you on here is because we want to talk stories about stuff that you've dealt with in that chair, and you may have one after today. You may get to be able to say, hey, I need to come back on here and tell a story about softball. But are there any stories that have just jumped out at you and said, you know what, you can't make this stuff up?
Yeah, I mean, there's all the early year things, that you have that you just don't. I mean, I don't know how many times I forgot to put the flag up at a minute before the start, the anthem's going to get played. You realize the flag's not up, and you run over there and throw that. I mean, there's all those early year things that I did, but probably the most memorable, or one that I'm trying to forget, that just happened this winter.
You can see the pain on his face when he's like, memorable.
Yeah, right.
Well, he tried to say it with trying to forget. I mean, he's trying to balance between whether he should remember that or just completely forget it. So there's a battle, an internal struggle going on for Cory.
It certainly is, and I'm trying to forget it, but I'm not able to. But so it just happened this winter, actually, here probably 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. We play our basketball games in the Corn Palace, the world's only Corn Palace. It's a visitors attraction in the summer, especially when they got people coming through on the way out to the Black Hills. The building was built in 1921, so old building. On the outside of it's decorated in corn. They redo corn every year. So the original purpose of the building was to create or to celebrate harvest and all that. Going back to the late 1800s is kind of where the origination of the building was. But so we got old building. So we got a basketball doubleheader. Our girls JV's playing, and all of a sudden, like, people are screaming, and I'm like, okay, what's going on now? And and people are looking up, and I look up, and sure enough, there's a bat flying around in the gym. So right away it's just over the top of the court, and it's kind of flying around up there, 30 feet in the air, and it's not terrible. Then all of a sudden it starts swooping down at different things and people, and I don't know what it's going on, but so it's swooping at people kind of on the court. And then it kind of moves up over the seating area where, well, obviously, as further you get away from the court, the higher the seats go, the less room there is from the ceiling to the seat. So it's getting closer to the people, and people are just absolutely freaking out. And I have no idea what to do. I mean, I didn't bring my fishing net. I didn't have that. So you're just kind of standing there, just like watching this thing, wondering what you're going to do. And so I don't know, 5 minutes maybe. It went. The girls were. Luckily, it happened at halftime of the girls' game the first time. So
the first time.
Yeah, you said the first time.
The first time. Yeah, I guess I. So yeah, we get it. It goes away. It kind of goes up into the corner, and it disappears there for a while. And then we get to that game. We get to the JV boys first half, and then during halftime of the JV boys game, it makes another appearance, and it's doing the same thing. It's flying around and dive bombing people, and it was interesting the difference between, because we got girls on the court the first time, and they're freaking out with stereotypical girls screams, the shrills that are piercing your ears type of thing, and then the boys are out there the second time when it's happening, and the same thing. It starts over the court and it moves over the crowd, and the boys just kind of go along doing their thing. Like I don't even know if they knew what was going on, obviously, but certainly didn't bother them quite as much as the girls. I just stood over in the corner, tried to make sure I was kind of covered and could duck underneath something if it came at me type of thing. So
self-preservation is what he's worried about at this point.
Someone's got to be here on the backside of this to make sure everything's okay. So same thing. It buzzed around for 5 minutes, felt like half an hour. Went away before the second half started. The kids that we had running the video board and the cameras and those type of things turned it into a bat cam. They threw a little graphic up there, and they were trying to follow it, and they were seeing where it was at. So with some people had the kiss cam, we had the bat cam. So and then it went into its corner, disappeared, and I spent the entire varsity girls and varsity boys game with absolute pit in my stomach, waiting for that thing to come back out and wondering what I would do if it came out during play. And luckily didn't have to figure it out, and we made it through it. But
so let me ask a couple things first. You just kind of went past the fact that your gym is decorated in corn.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking shucks? Are we talking just the corn on the cob? We talking they're displayed where it's yellow, or is it just with the husks on it, or what?
So what they do is, so they grow, I think, is like 19 different colors of corn. So there's everything from your traditional yellow to your dark reds, and there's a bunch of different colors. And they pick a theme every year, and the outside of it they have different murals, and they basically take a corn cob, slice it in half the long way, and make two halves of it, and they staple it up there, and it's basically a paint by number type of thing. They put a big huge stencil up there, and there's different scenes. There's probably I don't know, 15 murals maybe, something like that they have all year, that on the outside that they redecorate every year. The inside's got some on it too. They don't do that every year. They do it every so often, but it's pretty incredible how they can get corn to look like it's a mural that you can actually tell what it is.
Right. So let me ask this: you said they do some inside as well. So would this contribute to maybe the bat being present? Did it think that's some food, or is that just?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't think bats eat corn.
I don't know.
But as things buzzing around, it's like you can't kill those things. So what do you do? You just walk.
I think my favorite thing is that you just did nothing. You just did nothing.
Yeah, when all else fails, do nothing.
Like you just were like, And then you went into a corner to protect yourself.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I wasn't kind of stood behind some bleachers. I was going to get made a fool of if he came bombing at me or running around flailing my arms like a. I didn't want everyone to know I was a sissy. I mean,
Yeah.
he wanted to be on full display.
So he said he wanted to make sure somebody was on the backside of this thing. It's like Armageddon, but with bats. So like
Right.
Batmageddon, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that was
Yeah.
taking place there in South Dakota. And Cory is somewhere where he can duck under something in case that thing comes at him. One, for self-preservation of his own pride, but two, for his own body, just to say, you know what, I don't know what I'm gonna do if this thing comes flying at me.
Someone's got to be the first one out of the bunker to make sure that, assess the situation.
it was just one bat, right? Or was there
Just
multiple?
one. Yeah. I mean, based on people's reaction, you would have thought there's, 10 of them in there. But yeah, just one singular one that we watched fly around there for 5-10 minutes.
So forgive me if I have some PTSD because of this story, because
Mhm.
I got to experience this same kind of scenario. However, it wasn't just one bat. We had 37 bats in our gym.
Wow.
And we were having a junior high game one night, and I'm not trying to one up you. I'm just trying to tell you the story so you can kind of know that I think there's misery loves company. So I just want to jump in there with you and just share that we had these bats flying about, in the girls' games. Just you talk about it. We talk about celebration early, but their level of shriek and the pitch to which their voice can go to. And here's what I found out about the bats. They're not really going to do anything to you. They may buzz the tower, but they're not going to really, they don't attack you. They don't sit there on your head and try to peck anything out or anything like that. It's more of, it's a flying rat or maybe a flying mouse.
Okay, wait. Before you go on, I must tell you that Dustin would call me and tell me about the bat situation, and he wasn't nearly as calm then as he is now.
He's tough guy now, right?
Yeah, he's a tough guy now, but then he wasn't nearly as calm as he is.
No,
right
I can
now.
tell you, I was a lot like Cory in that I was sitting at the scores table running the scoreboard when the first bat came and made its appearance, and swooped down, and girls start freaking out, and they're running away. And I had an assistant principal who, this is tough for me to say. This will just negate my tough guy persona. But she got up and she went out on the court, and she has a towel. And so whenever the bat would fly by, because it swooped down and kind of do its thing for a little bit, kind of fly around and just scare people. I think it got some enjoyment out of that. But my assistant principal, she had this towel and she threw it over the bat and caught the bat. So when it was close to the ground, she just threw it over there, and she was the bat wrangler for us that night. But she caught one, and since found out that you can't kill them. You're not supposed to kill them, I guess is the phrase that you're supposed to use. Because we had, I don't want to call them bat police, but basically exterminators of some sort that came
Batman.
in.
I was going to say, how'd you miss that one, Dustin? Batman.
They came in. I didn't have bat cam, but we had bat exterminators come in and tell us how to rid them. And you can actually, just information for you, a bat can get through a very small hole, almost the size of a pencil. They can work their way through there. So if you have any kind of hole in your gym, they can find their way through there and then be flying around. So we had somebody catch one that night. And then there were multiple ones that were coming out, obviously, during the game. And we had homecoming the very next night. So that was the scary part for me. I'm like, good night. If we have all these girls out there in their dresses that they've spent all this money on, done their hair, get all prettied up, and then all of a sudden these bats make an appearance, that's a bad recipe. And so I can relate to where Cory was. I wasn't ducking for cover. I was just sitting there watching the show. And if the bat came over by me, I was just going to wear it if it flew next to me. But Cory was more into the self-preservation than I was, apparently.
Yeah. So you're saying you're tougher than me, right? That's what we're...
He just
out there to do the dirty work.
Yeah,
my assistant principal will probably tell you a different story, but because she's not here and I'm telling the story,
there you go.
Yeah, I was a tough guy.
It's your story.
Yeah. So let me ask this
I don't
question.
buy it.
Did people evacuate the gym? Did they stay there? Did people come onto the floor? I mean, we had several situations where people were just trying to figure out what to do, because when a bat comes, you're not really prepared for it. What do you end up doing with that is the big question. And so what were your fans like, and what were any administrators there or police or band or whatever, what were their reactions?
Yeah, I mean, nobody left. They just, it's scurry and scuttle away from it. When it was getting close to certain areas, they'd flee, like, fly away from it or run away from it type of thing, wherever it was kind of going. But I mean, when you got one, I guess you figure you can play through one. I guess you got 37. That's maybe a little easier decision. You just get out of there, right? But
Did you ever catch it?
No, it kind of knew where it came from. We had these banners that went down over the top of kind of in a corner type of thing. So we put the banners up, try to give it a little clearer runway to get back into its hole. And then as soon as it got in, I put the banners down and tried to keep it in there, which only worked a little bit. But like I said, you got a 100-some-year-old building.
Yeah.
There's about 7 billion pencil holes in that thing,
Right.
So
you're lucky it was just one.
Yeah, and we have them around town. Obviously, it's not uncommon to us, and they're going to find somewhere to go. And apparently, the Corn Palace is their new home. So,
well, they wanted to stay warm too, because basketball takes place in the winter when its temperatures aren't real tropical like what they would be down in Florida. So they were just trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
You were going back to the Corn Palace. You said there was 19 colors of corn. Do they paint the corn?
Oh, it's growing. It's like there's one farmer that's what he does is grows these colored strains of corn. So
I did not know there were 19 corn came in 19 different colors. That is new to me.
They're all shades of kind of yellow and maroon and some of those type of there's different shades of it. But it's pretty impressive the way the murals turn out each year. Like I said, they tear them down and spend months stapling these corn cobs up on the side of the building. And we're the Mitchell Colonels, and not like COLO, not the Army military colonels. We're the KERNELS colonels. So it fits.
Now I get your Twitter handle, Colonel AD. It
there
all makes sense to me.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, it is.
Love it when a story comes together.
That's right.
So I guess as I think through this, we all were in Nashville for the National Convention, and they have a place there there are several places that they like to call hot chicken, and they have various levels of hot, and the chicken comes out in different colors. So is this corn spicy? Is it different flavor? I know there's sweet corn, but is it all same kind of, I guess, palate pleasing taste, or is it at various levels of that?
Yeah, all this type of corn is all, it's not your edible sweet corn off the cob type of corn. It's your corn grain type of strains, not this is the stuff you'd eat off the cob. It's the stuff that gets used to create all the other things. So it's definitely not edible as it is in its current form. It's got to get processed into something else.
Man, this is all kind of educational for us today.
Learning
who
a
knew
lot
coming into this, and
Right.
I'm willing to bet our listeners don't know that there were 19 different strands of corn or colors of corn. Now, maybe Joey Struy may know that, or at least he'll say that he does. And we can't prove it otherwise, I guess. But
sure.
But you're also over here saying you're a tough guy, so I don't know. It's a whole bunch of we're just guessing around here today.
Yeah, we've proven that Cory was just going to go do nothing, and I was with Cory. I just sat there and did nothing except run the scoreboard. I was making sure the time was right.
We've had AVs come out here and they do the wrong thing, or they do it too late, or the silly thing, or they go the long way across the bleachers with a blow up doll. You know, we have all of these stories of everybody doing the wrong thing, but Cory was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do nothing."
Yeah, I don't know what I would. I felt kind of through it. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. Like,
No, I don't disagree with you, but the
Yeah.
way that you present that is very
I
entertaining.
froze. Just froze up. Had nothing to do.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, everyone for themselves. I mean, we have a thing where we have like a 5-question checklist that we check with our officials every game about emergency action plans and AED and trainer and some of these kind of game preparedness type things, and one of them is emergency exits, and I tell them, like, if I was you, I'd follow me, like, wherever I'm going, just follow me, because I'm going somewhere. I'm finding the nearest exit.
The fastest route out.
Just find me and follow me. You'll be fine.
Yeah, the question was, can you do the right thing or the wrong thing, or nothing? And they may not be wrong. That may be the right thing to do nothing. But I like that thought process. Just follow me, and I'll be over here in this corner. And you don't have to tell the officials that, hey, we've had previous bats in here, so this is kind of my nook. In case something happens, I'm protected. Like, did the band do anything like the Batman theme?
No, they didn't. Our band wasn't there that night. That would have been good. They probably would have. They're pretty clever with that stuff. So
yeah, the theme song would have been awesome to just have that playing.
I just like that you had the camera. The camera cue that were being run by students, and they're like, "No, let's go into the bat. This is more. This is more entertaining. They do their own thing."
The game was second nature to that point. They're more worried about the bat.
Well, and if you follow a bat's flight pattern, it is not consistent.
No.
And so the challenge is following that. So it becomes a game within a game, trying to follow where the bat's really going to go and see if you can keep it in the camera shot or not. Yep. And then when they go up and hide, they're generally at a place where you can't reach, obviously. And so trying to take care of, all right, we're going to watch for this thing to come back out. And maybe Cory just stayed where he was and watched for it to come back out. But when it comes back out, what do you do then? I tell you what I did, Cory. I've got a swimming pool net that I use to catch the bats. And so when they'd fly up against the wall, then I'd catch them with the swimming pool net. And
I asked for a video of this, Cory, but I never received it.
Oh, it's there. He's nowhere close to it.
No, I caught him. I mean, the pole, it was extended a ways, but I mean, obviously the bats are up against the wall or at the top, just kind of away from which I can't reach. So I had to use the pole in the pool net, and I caught them. And then we take them outside and put them on a tree. And I think what they did is they just got back at us and said, well, we know how to get back in. So I'm going to just fly back in. So all you've done is just played our game.
You caught 37 bats, but it was probably like the same 10 bats.
The same one over and over again.
Couple.
No, we saw there were multiple sightings of more than one bat at a time. So it could have been a family that just was playing a trick on me. And what I probably should have done was been like Cory and done nothing. Just sat back and just said, okay, have your moment. You'll get tired at some point. There ain't nothing to eat in here. So you'll die at some point. So
or leave. Why did you go that route? Why couldn't they just leave the same way they came in?
Well, generally when they come back in, when they're in, they're in.
I don't understand why we have so many basketball fans who don't like bats. Like they don't like Dustin said, they don't hurt you, but you guys are in different parts of the country. You both had similar situations, and everyone's yelling and screaming, and bats don't hurt you. They eat the mosquitoes.
But they say when there's a bee next to you, you're not supposed to do anything there either. But what do? You swat at I mean, it's easy to say that now, but when that thing's dive bombing around, I don't care if you tell me it's not going to hurt me at all.
He said dive bombing.
Yeah, that might be the one that's got a little different agenda or something. I don't know. I'm
it may be the rebel.
No different. It might be the one bad. Get me.
It's wanting to secede from the union, so it's trying to make sure it's going to make its statement, and it could be right there in the Corn Palace.
That's right. There's always one. I don't want to be the one.
South Dakota has Joey Struey and one bat.
Yeah.
There's one that just is different. You know, I can joke about it now, and you can joke about it now, but in that moment, however long that was, probably seemed like an eternity. Just because you don't have a solution for that. We had skunks at our football game. What do you do with that? And I told them, I know what I don't do. I don't stick around as that tail raises.
Right.
Run the other way. I mean, get away from the thing. That's where it's going to hurt you. But a bat, you just don't know because their pattern is so different.
We were on their time. So we, and I will say there's a certain place where I usually stand at our games where our officials come on and off the court, and that was right above where the bat came out. I found a different spot that game. I found a different place in the gym to be able to check out some different vantage points that game, because I wasn't underneath that bat when it came out again.
So when you visit with the officials, do they know your new stance or your new location, or do you just say, "Hey, good luck trying to find me because I'm gonna be out"?
Yeah, they usually know where I'm at, but yeah, I was a little hard to find. I was Where's Waldo at that time, so trying to you got to find me where I'm at this time.
Well, I am very glad you two got to bond over your bat stories.
Yeah, I never knew there were so many of us that, and I guess the pool net has got to be one of the other things I put in my game day toolkit. I'm gonna need a trailer to haul all stuff around at some point.
Well, unfortunately, the basketball's in winter and we have our pool closed, so it wasn't being used at the time. So I just stored it up there at the arena in case the infestation happened again, and they were just dive bombing it there. Then, like you said, it's on their time.
Yeah.
I tried to startle them during the day when nobody was around, and they weren't coming out, but they'd come out at night. But they do tell you if they come out during the day, they're rabid.
Nocturnal animals, Dustin.
Right. But when they come out during the day, they're rabid. So you got to be careful of them at that moment.
Well, this was like 4:30, 5 o'clock when we had it. But again, it's in South Dakota in the winter where it's all dark. So yeah, I wasn't going to take a chance.
So do you have a bat plan now, or do you still just go find your stoop wherever that may be and just kind of hang out there?
It worked well for me the first time. So my plan is to do nothing. Just go stand in the corner, get out of sight, and leave whenever it leaves.
You were fluent in doing nothing is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it worked well the first time.
We usually have like the chicken plan, and we have plans when after this is over, you're like, I have a new plan, but you are staying consistent.
Yeah. And
you were like, I will continue to do nothing.
I'm gonna stick with what works
until it doesn't, and then when it proves to not work, then you'll do another thing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
That is the amazing thing to me is just because I can live this because I lived it. I mean, I can see what transpired, and I can hear the shrieks from the females, and I can't even say it's females. I mean,
I was
been
just going to say,
males
why are we
doing
picking
that
on the
same thing.
females here? I mean,
but I can audibly hear that now. I can just see that scenario unfolding because I lived that moment for us.
It wasn't very much fun.
No, and I appreciate you just bringing me back into that moment where I'm gonna go seek counseling now, Cory. Just because
appreciates you, Cory.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh man! Well, I'm glad that you came out and told this story. This has got to happen to a lot more people, right? You can't be the only two people that this has occurred to. I feel like bats in a gym are a little bit more common than we want to think. So maybe we need to start talking about bat plans. Whether it's a pool net or a corner.
I'm really curious what other people's. I mean, my plan to do nothing worked, but I'm curious on what some alternatives are in that situation. Because if everyone's got any good ideas, send me your bat plan.
If we get some feedback, we'll definitely let you know about the bat plan.
And I think about it. Just Cory, your willingness to jump on here, and you told me yesterday you were trying to shut off some of these mindsets, and you talked about this trying to forget this moment, but it's those moments that scar us that we aren't able to forget, but we can't get past those moments. And so, one closing question: have you had a bat situation since?
We've not since. I've been terrified of one for the rest. We had about 4 or 5 games after that, and we spend a vast majority of our time worried about what's going to happen next. And
It's true.
in a lot of cases, nothing happens, but you're always worried about something, whether it's your student section doing something, your fans doing something, the scoreboard. Whatever might happen. So we just live with these pits in our stomach for the most part, where we're worried that something's going to happen. And that was me for the rest of the basketball season. Was just the entire time when I walked in the building until I walked out was, okay, when's that thing gonna come out? I guess I don't know why I was so worried, because I wasn't going to do anything about it. I was just going to stand and watch it. But you just get into those situations. You're worried for whatever's going to be next, and you don't know what it is.
Well, and that's a perfect point to highlight, because you're right. You're worried about what the fans are going to do, or what the scoreboard's going to do, or your players or officials or whatever. But you're not worried about what you don't know about. And you didn't know about the bats until a couple months ago, and now forever, for the rest of your basketball game, you will now be worried about the bat.
Right. Exactly.
The crazy thing to me is, you said you worry about all these things that could happen. We think about these things, but sometimes, and oftentimes, nothing happens. Well, that may be a fitting description of Cory. When bats come, nothing happens.
Nothing's going to happen.
Cory's mindset is nothing.
Yep. I like it. Looking cool, calm, and collected. And then on the inside, just absolutely, freaked out about what am I doing? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. We're just going to sit here and watch his bat fly around.
I need to take this advice. If I'm going to just do nothing.
And the fact of the matter is, if you're at a basketball game, it's different than your first ever softball game that you're going to have today. If the bat happens outside, you're not as concerned.
Right.
But if it's inside and it's confined quarters, and then it all of a sudden becomes, hey, it's panic.
That hits a little differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your willingness to come on and share your story, and also, joke about the do nothing, right? Because maybe sometimes that's the best thing to do, is to do nothing. And that's a hard thing for me to wrap my head around, and lots of other ADs, because we're fixers, right? We want to fix what's going on. We want to make it an enjoyable experience for everybody who's there, whether they're playing or watching. So maybe we should put that into maybe we shouldn't, I don't know, but maybe we should put that into our toolbox of, maybe we don't do anything sometimes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I do feel is maybe I kind of lean on a little bit as a strength is, I'm pretty thorough and thoughtful and those type of things, but that leads me to be pretty slow to react sometimes, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not, I guess. In this case, I don't know if it was or not. It worked, but I take a long time to make decisions, and when I do, they're probably wrong ones. But yeah, I'm a slow thinker. But
I would bet, Cory, that if the bat buzzed your tower, you wouldn't be slow moving.
Oh no. No, I'd be flying around. I probably would have flown. My arms would have been flapping so hard, I would have got lift off.
Somebody who's close to you, or at least from the state of Nebraska, which borders South Dakota. Larry the Cable Guy always talks about the shark bite suit. Who thought that was a good idea?
Right.
Get down there and say, hey, I'm gonna let this shark bite me. He said, but if you get him in my element, get him in the Walmart parking lot, I'll take that shark on every day. But going into his territory, I'm not doing that. So, Cory, when you're standing there, the bat has control, because you don't know their pattern. You don't know what they're thinking. They're just coming, and it's just a moment where you're not in their element. But if you got the upper hand, then obviously the bat's a little more concerned. And so I just want to put that reference in there about Larry the Cable Guy, because he's close. And we were, or you were, I was too, in the bats world. It wasn't that they were comfortable where they were at. I wasn't comfortable with them.
Yeah, and I'm very type A, and when I'm out of control, it's a uncomfortable position for me to be in. So that certainly was the case with that bat flying around. And I'm sure he was more scared about it going, flying around getting screamed at and than anybody else. He was probably more scared than anyone. But
Trying to get away.
Yeah. But that didn't stop me from being scared.
Well, I for one, I'm glad you came on here and did something and told us a story. You didn't just do nothing, but your story is about doing nothing. And I appreciate that because I think that's probably the right response and reaction. Although people will want you to do something, the fact of the matter is they weren't looking for the AD at that moment. They were just looking for the bat. They were trying to figure out if they're going to get dive bombed, if it was going to buzz their tower, or whatever it may be. And you may not have been the center of attention for once.
Yeah, I probably could have walked out of the building. No one would have known. So,
or
just sat at the scores table. I've heard people do that too.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll go do. I'll go. But see, then I'd be afraid of I'd be in a vulnerable spot there. I'd be too far in the open. That's why behind the bleachers was a better spot.
Well, Cory, man, I appreciate you jumping on here. And when I text you and ask you if you do it, you said absolutely. I'll jump on there, and I appreciate one, you listening, but two, you jumping on here and sharing your story and sharing life in South Dakota. And I wish you the best of luck tonight in softball. And I am hopeful that you have the only bats you have are of the softball variety and not a rodent variety.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with those bats. I can manage those.
Well, yes, enjoy your first game tonight. You're making history, so congratulations on that, and I'm sure you're going to do great, and the kids are going to be happy and proud. So, congrats on that, and good luck. And I'm glad you made Dustin feel like he wasn't alone.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know if I could put the same association with him, but I guess here we are. So
yeah, here we are. Like it or not, Cory, you're here.
Here I
am. Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
That wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our sponsor, Wall of Fame, who excels at telling your school stories and supports us in telling ours. Check out the description of this episode for a link to receive a discount on all Wall of Fame products. We are looking forward to the next story and hope you are too.